Despite what some people may think, psychic powers, telepathy, telekinesis, precognition, all the rest, have no moral gradient. They are neither good nor bad. Houses are different. Shirley Jackson was right. Some houses are born bad. Houses like this one. Houses like Rose Red.
Welcome to Now Playing Podcast's Rose Red Retrospective Series.
Off to the house on Haunted Hill, I see.
Part of our Stephen King movie review series.
Well, hold on. This may prove to be a bumpy ride.
Hosted by Stuart.
You're a step away from stardom, dear boy.
Arnie.
You're encouraging.
Guilty.
And Brock.
I don't have a psychic bone in my body, as you well know.
But be warned, this episode will contain detailed plot spoilers and strong language.
Save the warnings for someone who's not broke. Okay?
We hope you enjoy the show.
Speak your mind, child.
Today we're discussing The Diary of Ellen Rimbauer, starring no one you've heard of.
Yeah.
Lisa Brenner, Stephen Brand, maybe you know Tsidii Leloka. I'll give her that.
Yeah.
Who?
We'll talk about her in a minute, for sure.
Directed by Craig R. Baxley. This is Now Playing's little tart Arnie.
And Stuart.
And life never stops for Brock.
So here's the thing. You know, last time people would go back into the house, like, this is the house, but it looks all different. We're covering a Stephen King movie with no Stephen King. This is a first.
Well, no, I mean, if you look at all the spin-offs and sequels, like all the Pet Sematary 2, or even The Lawnmower Man, there's a lot of Stephen Kings with no Stephen King in them.
Well, of course, but I mean, those just feel less legitimate anyway. Stephen King proudly put his name on the script last week and was a creative driving force to a hit TV miniseries that 1 year later had another installment. Was he too busy? Was he just wanting someone else to spread their wings?
It's funny because the writer of the book, The Diary of Ellen Rimbauer, let's recap the creation of this in case people forgot our conversation from 7 days ago, because I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah.
I might have forgotten that conversation too, so why don't you go ahead and remind me?
Yeah, tell me. Yeah.
Please.
There was a miniseries with Rose Red, and to hype it up, they put out a book called The Diary of Ellen Rimbauer, My Life as Rose Red, and it was supposedly written by Dr. Joyce Reardon, PhD. That was on the cover, and it was implied that Stephen King wrote it. Some people thought maybe Tabitha King wrote it. I guess that means it wasn't very good if they thought Tabitha wrote it. But the actual author was Ridley Pearson, using the pen name to make it feel more in-universe. So that series comes out, it's a big hit, and so as Ridley Pearson tells it, he gets a phone call from Stephen King. As I mentioned last time, they're friends, they play together in a bad band and things like that.
Yeah. Okay, so their roadie wrote this, is what you're telling me. Okay, great.
And so King calls Ridley Pearson and says, guess what? They want to make a movie based on your book, based on my movie.
Mm-hmm.
So Ridley Pearson, the author of the book, is hired to write the screenplay based on his book. But if you think there's no King involvement, some of his stuff was rewritten by King. Even though King is not part of this, King came in and took the script and said, we need to tweak some of the Ellen Rimbauer voiceover stuff. So some of the dialogue here is straight from King's own word processor. But the overall creative vision is from Ridley Pearson. He's the one who did the commentary on the DVD. Yes, this is out on DVD.
Damn.
Craig R. Baxley ran the hell away from doing the commentary, but and he did one for Rose Red, but Ridley Pearson droned on basically explaining what's happening on screen. It was like one of those commentaries for the visually impaired type of commentaries. It was like, here, they're standing on a grate. And it's like, okay, thanks for telling me that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Yeah, when all you can do is say what's before you, it means there wasn't a lot going on behind the scenes. My question, obviously, so if, in fact, Rose Red was a hit, why was no love, money, stars gotten to make this the same kind of splashy success a year later?
Yeah, that is the mystery, right? Why would they demand a sequel and yet make it so much lesser? Rose Red was a 3-night sweeps week event with Stephen King as the author, and here, did King not want to write it? Was King, he's off the Oxycontin now, and so he has better things to do? Is it just a case of a quick paycheck? This was aired during sweeps in 2003. It could have been ABC was just demanding such a quick turnaround. They didn't have a lot of time to create something spectacular or create a spectacle. But no matter what we think of this movie, it was a massive failure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It did not do well in the ratings at all.
I knew that. It had to be, yes.
It came in 4th of the networks, behind Boston Public on Fox, which was 3rd, behind NBC's Fear Factor, Joe Rogan eating worms or watching others eat worms beat this, and of course number 1 was CSI Miami, which it probably still is. But
Right.
whereas the last one got like 18 million viewers, this got 6. It's an abysmal failure.
Well, I think because people watched that first one and were disappointed by it. So people watched it to the end and realized, I don't need to watch more of this. My question, though, is they wrote this tie-in book. So you guys read this book.
Yeah.
Is it adhere to the book?
As much as ABC censors will allow them.
I see.
I mean, it does and it doesn't. I mean, there are massive continuity errors where this doesn't even line up with Rose Red, whereas the book lined up with Rose Red very clearly. Here, they've abridged. Just for example, whereas in the last movie, it was made a big deal that Madame Stravinsky came and did the seance at the house because this psychic Lou would not leave Chinatown, which was in the book, and so Lou recommended Stravinsky, and we had the scenes in the last one of Stravinsky coming to the house and doing the seance. Here, even though we saw in the last one Stravinsky did the seance, no, here we're just gonna have Lou do the seance. Who remembers Rose Red? Who gives a shit about Rose Red? We're just going to shorten everything. Here's the worst part. I mean, when Rose Red ended, if you had any questions left, and I don't know that you would, the book was there to answer them. But I don't know that at the end of Rose Red, I was like, you know what I want? I want more flashbacks. I want to know more. I enjoyed reading the book for what it was. I talked about that last time. I liked the writing style. I got into it a bit. It's kind of tawdry. But I didn't walk away wanting more of that.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I also would say, as it turns out, everything we saw in the miniseries doesn't really get expounded upon in this movie. But there was the opportunity to better dramatize, with an all-star cast, the early days of the house and Ellen Rimbauer, because those things would just be flashes, and ironically, they come off exactly in the same kind of choppy, badly edited way here, but there was an opportunity. I think really the sadness I have is I wish they hadn't kept the diary format. The crutch is the voiceover and trying to tell it from Ellen's point of view, when really, if there's any point in going back, it's we're going to better dramatize and get better actors to show us what's so scary about this place.
I was really worried when I looked at the cast list, and I'm like, you mean they didn't even get the people from the previous movie back?
Isn't that weird? Yeah.
Yeah, that's really weird.
The only one coming back is the actress who plays Sakina, who's Tsidii Leloka.
Oh, okay.
Now, I've actually seen her perform in real life.
I imagine you have.
Yes, she was in The Lion King on Broadway. She played Rafiki, and she was phenomenal. She was really, really good. And you can check it out on YouTube. They did that opening number, Circle of Life, on like Tony's. They did it on, I'm sure Rosie O'Donnell's show, like tons and tons of talk shows. They did that. And she's on there singing the opening to The Lion King. And she was wonderful.
I think I saw her on a Macy's Thanksgiving parade, yeah.
Probably did, yes. She has a great look. She was so good at it, and it was just wonderful. And honestly, since she was here, and she is recognizable to me, I doubted whether or not it was the same actors until I looked it up at first.
No, she has a very unique look. Kind of buggy eyes. I don't know if it's her performance or if she really has buggy eyes in real life. I can't tell if she was just doing it to be this character, but she stood out to me in Rose Red. And so not having her here would be, I think, fatal. I think that if you brought one person back from the flashbacks, it had to be her.
That said, I won't say that this is not fatal, Arnie. I hear your theory, Brock. People didn't come back because Rose Red didn't end up being the event they had hoped it would be. Perhaps. But if you had gotten some hot TV actors and come up with new storylines, shown us something we didn't already see, I think they could have gotten a better, at least initial viewing than what they got.
Yeah, Jason Priestley was available. They could have used him. They could have used anybody who their TV show had just ended, who needs a TV movie of the week. They could have jumped on in there and had a job, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't tell me that kinky, sadistic husband couldn't have been Richard Grieco. Absolutely.
Yeah, when I looked at this cast, I was just worried. The main actress, our new Ellen Rimbauer, is Lisa Brenner, who, from what I can tell, is most known for who she married. She married Dean Devlin, creator of Independence Day and Godzilla and all of that, because she had a role in that Mel Gibson The Patriot that Dean Devlin produced. They met through that. She was getting engaged to him during the creation of this. She has continued to work on TV and in film, but nothing I knew.
Soap operas. Shocker. You won't believe it, but daytime soaps is where she landed, and deservedly so.
Not really. She did some All My Children. The most notable thing I think she did was a couple of those librarian movies. If you remember Noah Weil as like a fake Indiana Jones librarian, kind of like a Dan Brown sort of thing. She did a couple of those. That would probably be her biggest note. And then our John Rimbauer here, again, a working actor, but the thing I know him best from is fucking Hellraiser Revelations, the one where they go to Tijuana and Doug Bradley won't even come to the set.
Yeah. Hellraiser 9, if that's your biggest credit, you're not a star. You can't bring people to the movie. Yes, a working actor is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about star wattage, having something people want to see.
At this point, when the movie came out, he might have been, quote unquote, a get. He was the main bad guy fighting The Rock in the first Scorpion King movie. He's like second build for the Scorpion King.
We're in the presence of greatness, people.
Clearly.
I mean, unbelievable. What a resume. I actually liked what he was doing here enough. I thought he got the job done. And I'm going to say up top, yes, I would have preferred a more star wattage for sure. However, people aren't necessarily, in their mind, the producer's mind, or ABC's mind, probably saying to themselves, people are going to come because it's associated with something that was a big hit last year. This is going to cost us nothing to make. If it gets X, Y, and Z enough viewers, it can be considered successful. We can sell DVDs. Who cares? We do, but at the time, I could see why the financial decision was made. And honestly, it was already in the can. They already had the book. How hard could it be to make this into a movie is probably the mindset.
Right. I mean, it seems like a mistake. One thing I will just offer is they probably should have called it Rose Red, The Diary of Ellen Rimbauer, because I don't know that Ellen Rimbauer's name itself would have you connecting to that quote-unquote hit miniseries. They could have done themselves some favors, but you're right. If you're making the prequel, if you're adapting the tie-in book, it's pretty much going to follow these beats. Arnie, why don't you tell them the page entries that we've already covered last week that we now have to watch again.
In 1910, oil tycoon John Rimbauer, played by Stephen Brand, made 2 additions to his life. The first was by marrying his girlfriend Ellen, played by Lisa Brenner. The second was starting construction on his enormous Seattle mansion, which Ellen named Rose Red. It doesn't take long for John to reveal his true nature to his wife. He's a serial cheater sleeping with every young woman in his presence. He only married so he could have legitimate children to carry on his bloodline and his fortune. While on their honeymoon in Africa, John's extracurricular activities gave him syphilis, and he passed it on to Ellen. A local woman named Sukina, played by Tsidii Leloka, became Ellen's nursemaid, restoring her to health. When Ellen returned to Seattle, Sukina was by her side, never to leave again. But soon the newly constructed home starts to make people disappear. First is a woman named Fanny, played by Deidre Quinn, who is having an affair with John. Then some staff members disappear. Ellen eventually has a son, but the disappearances in the house cause her to have Madame Lou, played by Joy Luck Club's Sai Chin, come and perform a seance. Lou says the house tells her to build me to the heavens and life never stops. This leads Ellen to believe she will be immortal so long as she keeps adding on to Rose Red, and so she does. She has a daughter with John, who Ellen names April, but John is becoming increasingly more erratic, which Ellen chalks up to madness caused by his syphilis. A few years later, John's closeted business partner Doug, played by Pet Sematari's Brad Greenquist, is found having sex with an employee. John forces Doug out of the business, so Doug hangs himself in Rose Red. Later, the house claims April. John uses this opportunity to try and rid the house of Sukina, letting the police believe Ellen's servant to have taken the girl. Sukina is beaten by the cops. Eventually, Ellen goes to John and offers sexual favors if he'll get Sukina released. Ellen is told by the house to build a tower. She does, and in the stained glass window there appears a superimposed image of April, speaking to her mother. When Ellen again starts to withhold sex from John, he locks the tower so she can't go in. Sukina and Ellen plot to kill John. Sukina seduces John, leading him into the tower. Then John flies out the window to his death. We thought the 2 women pushed him. We saw that during Rose Red. Here it's made to seem like the ghosts surround him and maybe he jumps to his death. Maybe the ghosts push him. I don't care. Sukina, Ellen, and Rose Red will now live in harmony as credits roll.
Yeah.
I'm glad someone can. So, you know you're in trouble right from the get-go, right? When we get this prologue, and, you know, it's a gimmick. Like, show them something exciting so that we can then do some boring stuff for a while to establish things. What do we got? Nothing. Nothing happens in this whole thing. So, the grabber is Madame Lou's gonna drive to the house, and they're gonna say a chant, which I don't think was in the movie last week.
No, this chant that they say is so ridiculously dumb that I would notice dialogue this bad in the previous ones. The line, build me to the heavens and life never stops. Build me to the heavens and life never stops. It's like, no, this is really bad. I loved the commentary because on it, Ridley Pearson is like, well, this scene was supposed to start Act 3 of the movie. I don't know why they put it here at the beginning.
Yeah, because you didn't write a grabber for the opening. Sorry, but that's exactly why. Because you need something. TV audiences are fickle. There's a remote control that they can flick at any given moment. My fingers were twitching, I gotta say, during this scene. It's, you know, I didn't know these actors kind of look like the people last week, but there has been a drop. It's almost like everyone here is in a trance. Like nobody has any vitality.
I didn't notice they were different actors because we saw them so briefly last week. There's no really good way to know. And I had to look it up. About 20 minutes in, I looked it up just to make sure. And obviously Zucchina is the same, but it doesn't really matter to me. And once you do see it though, once you compare, yeah, you can tell. But it doesn't matter because they were only, in a photograph or they were ghostly anyway.
Right.
I was thinking about it because coming into this, I'm like, God, they couldn't even get the people back. But then in watching the behind the scenes stuff on Rose Red, I'm like, well, the lady who played Ellen mostly was just in old age ghost makeup for most of the time. You know, we didn't really need her back. She was more a body performer than an actress. So I actually took it to mean maybe we're upgrading to better performers to lead this instead of these day players who had bit parts in flashbacks. But no, these people are no good.
Yeah, again, and I wanted to stress this because you've already brought up this point. The continuity is off. Like, this thing is starting in 1910. She's getting proposed to in 1910, and we already knew she had birthed a child by that point in Rose Red. That does not bother me whatsoever. First of all, we didn't like the movie last week, so
Right.
why would we want this to be more like that? I don't need that to happen. I need you to tell me a dramatically interesting story that, again, I wish it wasn't hobbled with this crutch of, well, I'm going to tell you everything that's happening in voiceover through my diary. It would be nice if the screenwriter was more challenged to tell us the information in a way that made the actors play off each other and have real scenes as opposed to what still feels like flashback montages.
And as much as I didn't like Nancy Travis last week, her monologues over these flashbacks are better than the ones included here.
Yeah, this is a really important thing to stress. Oftentimes in Stephen King movies, because they are over the top, the actors feel they have to follow suit. And we saw and criticized Nancy Travis for that crime. But if you don't have an actor willing to chew the scenery and they just simply stand back and put on the gowns, you are essentially watching a lighting test. This feels like they're setting up to film the movie, but the actors never come on to give you the actual scene. We're watching stand-ins waiting for the real people to give us the real movie. I was shocked. Again, I liked the book last week. I don't care that this is going to take some liberties about when we start. And the guy, the first death was the teamster with the shotgun, and they're going to tie that to the proposal. Well, yeah, maybe that will be an interesting dramatic moment. Except they just take the footage from last week and then edit it in poorly with this scene of the guy on bended knee saying, "Will you marry me?" And I go, oh, we're not dramatizing anything. We're not going to show you the house becoming evil.
Yeah, it's so disappointing from the get-go, the production value on this. I noticed that it just, even though it's the same director, the insert shots from the previous movie of the death that occurred, the shooting and things, it just feels different and it feels bigger than most of what we're seeing, because the proposal has like 4 people on screen, and then we cut, there's a big crowd and a murder. That's because the last one had the bigger budget to afford that.
Yeah.
And just throughout this whole thing, the cheapness hits hard, because I didn't like last week's movie, but I applauded the design of the house. I applauded the castle at which they filmed.
Emmy nominated, yeah.
And some of the intrigue of the various rooms. The upside down room was cool. The perspective room was cool.
Yeah.
It had good locations inside the house. We're not going to have any of that here. None of it. I can't believe it's so short a time after those sets were destroyed and you just couldn't use them again. It is such a damnation on this that you don't have those cool locations from the previous one. Everything on here feels almost like a stage play. When I see a live theater show, I accept there's going to be limited sets and they're not going to be that detailed because you got stagehands that got to move stuff on and off really quick and you have to infer a lot and put everything in 3 or 4 locations. But I expect more from a movie, even on a TV budget, than to get outside of Ellen's bedroom, Ellen's ballroom, Ellen's nursery, and the front yard.
Here's something that really needed to be dramatized was, okay, they took a world tour where he got more and more debaucherous and she ended up getting a social disease. Like, that feels like something you want to spend some time on. How she goes from twirling around in her dress thinking, I'm going to be a bride, to, oh my God, I'm a kept woman and this is horrible, is not something you want to happen in an Indiana Jones, watch the red line, go across the map kind of way.
And it's such a weird scene because they're in Africa. You know, again, I liked the diary because they went lots of places. They went to London, they went to Paris, they went to Africa, and they had time on a ship.
Year-long world tour.
Yeah, it was a good part of the book. And you got to see Ellen slowly suspect her husband of things, but not be sure. Here, they're just in Africa, and it seems like that's the only place they go for a honeymoon, which is really weird in 1910, no matter how rich you are. And then the husband, John, is giving Ellen some, like, forcing drink down her throat. We meet Sukina right away, who's like going, don't drink it. And yet Ellen drinks it anyway. Cut, Ellen's now really sick. Oh my God, is John poisoning her? What was in that drink she wasn't supposed to drink that made her sick?
Well, if you have quick eyes, again, ABC censors being what they are, you will see that there was another woman dancing with John, and I think is briefly in the bed with the other two. We are supposed to understand this is a three-way, and again, the book was fairly kinky, and you would hope that a movie that is for 2003, folks, like, TV can do this now, and often does. Why we can't see more of this eroticism, of this debauchery, isn't that why we've come?
ABC still can't do it.
Right, yes, ABC network television seriously doesn't want to do that at this time, and HBO could absolutely show us that. Here on ABC they can't. But I gotta tell you, I definitely got the feeling of there's three ways going on, there's syphilis, I picked all of that up. It just made me feel uncomfortable because it was implied, and it was kind of implied heavily, but at the same time, it felt so bad for the actors because they clearly were not selling what they were doing well. So they looked uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable watching them be uncomfortable, and I didn't believe they were in Africa for a second.
No. No, it's a tent.
Not at all.
It's a tent on the back lot, and don't peek your head out because you won't see no elephants or safaris.
Nothing.
Again, this really should be stressed. They don't have the money of the movie last week, and that is a damn shame. I don't know why something that was deemed a hit can't get as much money for a sequel. Why are you making this? Like, this should go direct to video then, right? Or to another place.
It should. I mean, and the fact that they actually aired this during sweeps dumbfounds me.
Right. Sweeps. One thing you should sweep this under the rug. I mean, like, no. Yes. This is not going to get you those big ratings you need to impress the sponsors.
No. Why would you plan for this during sweeps when you quite clearly don't care enough to put money behind it? I mean, you're ripping off those sponsors who are paying the premium ad dollars. This is embezzlement. This is fraud.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you're making the point that ABC, being what it is, won't do eroticism. But I'm sorry, violent shows are on TV. You can do gore, you can do graphic things, maybe erotic content you cannot do. But when we get back to this house, there is no reason why they can't show us scary things, other than they don't have the creativity to do so. We have the commercial break. Nothing is more important than, like, we're going to break after 20 minutes and go on commercial. Can't lose nobody. How are we going to tease this? Some old biddy runs upstairs and babbles something about, I don't want to feel alone here. Well, you are, because all the audience is gone.
Yet during the early scenes, I had some hope here because there's a little sparring between Ellen and John's former girlfriend, Fanny, who's like, don't tell a man which mare to ride. I'm like, that doesn't do either of you any favors with that analogy, but okay. And this woman's doing a tour of the house, and she goes places she perhaps shouldn't have gone. But we know that this isn't going to be gory because Rose Red just makes people disappear. Women disappear, and a handful of men get killed in not very gory ways. So I wasn't here expecting a lot of blood and guts, but you could give me scares. We've done a lot of haunted house movies at this point. It's not my favorite genre, as my arrows have showed, but you can give atmosphere, and you can give suspense, and you can give long shadows and slight movements in those shadows, and it doesn't even cost much to turn up the contrast and have some bright spots and some dark spots and wonder what's in the dark. And here, no, we just find this woman shivering on the ground. We don't even get to see what scared her.
I kind of like that they had the party in the house to get people there. I kind of like that they had some, milling about and some dancing. They had a chance for Kate Burton, an actress I'm familiar with from 1,000 different things, being the older woman who's her friend, who's married to the guy who's the closet, a business partner. And all of this stuff about John already being promiscuous. This first scene, I thought was okay. I thought they have all these people there, and the woman goes upstairs, wants to see the house. I did not love her acting, but I did not mind at this point that we did not see what got her, because this is what we're talking about. They don't have the money. They don't have the creativity. However, they do have an opportunity here to pique our interest on, what's going on here? And I think this scene, in its own way, accomplished that. I think this opening, not the Africa part, but this party scene, I felt, of all the rest of the movie, this one took the opportunities that sort of scene gave them and did the most with it. The rest of the movie kind of squandered their setups. This one I thought paid off. This part of the movie has actually interested me.
Oh, okay. Well, there's no part of this movie that interests me, so
yeah.
I won't take that away from you, but
Thank you.
Maybe this is better than what comes next. I'll give you that.
Oh, it probably is, but I'm saying at this point, I'm still okay. I'm still willing, because that Africa thing really turned me off. But here I'm like, okay, they're turning it around. Let's see what's going on here. Obviously, it's not The Godfather where they have a big wedding and things like that, but it's certainly a party scene I've seen in 1,000 costume drama movies, and they lay out some character work, and they lay the groundwork of who people are, and the husband's promiscuous, even though he just got married.
Right. We see that he clearly has an eye for the maids, and when they go to bed that night, wife is already asleep, and she's waking up finding her hands and feet are tied to the bedpost, and this is how she gets impregnated with her first child.
And this was kind of a little bit shocking to me because, yeah, I read that book and it was somewhat debaucherous, but it never included S&M. And when did 50 Shades become popular? I'm trying to decide if this was jumping on a bandwagon for S&M.
No, Twilight hadn't even happened. But the book definitely indicated that there was things he was doing. Again, it was written in the language of a frumpy wife who didn't want to say the words. But if you read between the lines, I definitely thought all of this kind of thing and more was going on. And the responsibility of the filmmakers is to at least show us a little bit more than what was on the page. Here, it's a bowl of ice that gets dripped on her tummy.
And I got thinking with this, if they had made this for HBO, you could have at least given us a cheap softcore experience here. You know, if you're going to go this way with it, that's not a terrible choice. If you can't give us scares, give us sex.
Or both. I mean, again, that is the fear. I mean, you tell me what's scary about this setup, but I believe what we're supposed to be identifying with is this woman that thought she could marry a perfect man and then found out he has all of these terrible impulses and I think she has a line during the Africa montage where she's like, and I'm being turned too. You know, like this could be seen as the fall of a noble woman at the hands of a lech. I think if you wanted to try and make this scary, that's the angle, right? It's a sex thriller.
I think if she felt her life was in danger more from him and his proclivities, right? So we see her being tied up. We see that he gave her syphilis. We see he's a philanderer. She withholds sex from him and he manipulates her and they manipulate each other and all that's terrible. But if she actually felt in physical danger from her husband, that actually might have increased the stakes more. And then Rose Red can be coming to her rescue on top of the place being haunted. I understand that the movie's trying to say that the house has Ellen's best interests, but I don't think it really does. I think the house is its own thing. It's using Ellen as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it could have been a better story if the house was protecting her from this abusive husband, besides just being verbally abusive. You know what I'm saying?
I think there was some idea to do what you're saying, Brock. I think sometimes that's here, but like the movie last week, not really a clear narrative about who's being haunted and why.
And what I'm not getting any of is more insight into Rose Red. I get that this isn't titled Rose Red, this is the Diary of Ellen Rimbauer, but Rose Red is the mystery. What caused Rose Red? We talked last time. The book especially went into, was it a Native American burial ground? Was it the murder of the foreman that happened here? What was it that caused this house to be evil? But we're not going to get a real exploration of that. The other thing is this movie is so short. It's not even a full night. Like, this was a 2-hour broadcast that cut down to 88 minutes when you remove commercials. And so we don't have time to explore the origins of the house. We're going to immediately get to Adam being born and then John's girlfriend disappearing.
Here's what I would offer. It's in the chant, in that opening scene. Sin is where it started, atonement at the top. Basically, if I have to parse this out, because John was so decadent with the staff, everything we're going to see that he does with these, I think 2 maids go missing because he ties them up with their wrists and does some kind of 50 at least, 30 shades of gray on them, and they don't live through it. And so I think his sin and his killing of these women create the blood that is Rose Red. Right? I'm helping this as much as I can.
Yeah, that's definitely helping them out because that's something easily they could have shown us. Or again, and none of that is completely clear, and none of that is implied. Even I don't think that's even implied. It's just the house. Maybe wouldn't it be interesting that the house, being this kind of scary house or whatever, affects him in this way, making his proclivities even heightened more? That would have been something to play. They do none of that, Stuart. They do none of it.
I think the house is supposed to be a benevolent figure. Like, we see a male doctor trying to deliver this baby and be like, I need to go get a drink. It's a breach. And then, like, magically, almost as if the house itself did it, the boy's there without scalpel needed.
I wasn't sure if it was the house or if it was Tsukina, because Tsukina was still in there. Meanwhile, John's outside like, well, if you gotta trade the mom's life for the boy, kill the mom!
Yes.
He is really hoping that Ellen will die.
I don't even care about my wife, but I need my son. And again, I think it sets up this gender war that's happening here. And I think Rose Red is the champion of all these women. Maids that go missing, Sakina. I mean, they all become women that I think Ellen does either literally or passively loves, right? She loves her staff. She loves this house. She loves her daughter. And these men threaten them. And so Rose Red protects them by making them disappear inside her. I'm helping. I mean, again, I'm trying because A does not connect to B. So this is me grabbing out into the night.
Yeah, when people disappear in the house, like Fanny and the other woman, and later April, the globe in the library spins.
Mm-hmm.
That is supposed to be symbolizing as the world turns, the world... what exactly does this mean? Because if it's symbolism, I did not pick up on it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does. I think, again, cheap budget. This was in the prop shop. A globe spinning is an easy one to pull off. I guess the only thing you could say is it makes us think about that world tour we didn't see where she was basically deflowered and degraded is the way that I think it happened. Again, house is getting revenge on John.
It is basically whoever John fucks is going to disappear.
Yes.
And so you say it's protecting the women of the house, but yet some of these women are morally loose. Fanny was not being taken advantage of. Fanny was very much a femme fatale kind of thing, like a vamp almost. She was parading her sexuality in front of Ellen to be like, I got your man.
Yeah.
So I don't see the house as doing that. We're going to later hear that the house loves Ellen, which is not something I got out of the first Rose Red. I got out of the first Rose Red that the house was greedy, that the house wanted to be built, the house was manipulating Ellen, the house was evil.
Yeah, humans are battery power. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this is very much, I do things so that you'll continue to love me, Ellen. And again, she even says in her voiceover, because that's how we learn anything in this production, is that, like, this is not a love story between a man and a woman. This is a story between me and the house. So again, you are to understand, yes, this is the house's first act of love is making Fanny disappear. She has one scene where, you're right, two scenes. One where she's sitting with society women at tea, sneering that, oh, John's not the upstanding person you thought he was. And then, yes, now she's proudly saying, and I'm going to keep sleeping with him. He's not coming home to be the family man you want. And so globe spins. And in production values, I would expect in TV movies 30 or 40 years prior, Lost in Space in the 60s, yeah, she vanishes into midair before our eyes.
You mentioned the 60s, and that got me thinking, Star Trek in the 60s with the transporter effect had a better I'm leaving effect than what we get here. There's not a fade, it's just like a harsh cut and she's gone. And then, did you guys notice the score of this around this time?
I noticed that it sounded like a really slowed down version of Young and the Restless.
It is. It is exactly note for note The Young and the Restless.
Wow.
I was going nuts. I'm like, I don't know my soap opera themes.
Da 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 na na da na 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 na. Yeah.
I had to go to YouTube. I'm like, was it Days of Our Lives? Listen to it. No, that's the na 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 na.
Oh, I used to play it on piano. I know this theme. Yes, Nadia's theme is actually. If you want to know the title of it, I'm well aware. I had the sheet music.
Yeah, it's actually Nadia's theme. They stole it. They blatantly stole it. I checked the credits. I see no credit to Barry Dvorak and Perry Botkin Jr., who created Nadia's theme for the 1971 movie Bless the Beasts and the Children.
Which I've seen. I've seen that.
Okay.
I have. I saw it in school.
Yeah, that's a famous movie. I know that one.
It's a famous movie. I read the book, too.
So what we've established is that, yes, the house, as an act of love, is taking away mistresses. We will see that John built into its plans secret rooms and peepholes where he can spy on the maids, and then because he has all the power and because it's on ABC, we can have very brief scenes of him walking in and them taking off their blouse or whatever and cut, and that is telling us that he's doing terrible things to the maids. And so maids keep disappearing.
And again, it's not the maid's fault. Why doesn't the house make John disappear?
Well, he does kill them. Again, it would be helpful to actually see, not that I want this to be some kind of, you mentioned Skinamax. I don't want to take enjoyment out of women being chained up and killed, but I think it's important to know that that's happening. And it's so much as implied that I feel like the storyline could go unrealized by the audience.
Arnie, I think the reason that the house doesn't take John is financial. Without John, the house cannot continue to be built. The house is sentient enough to know that.
Yeah, he makes that point at breakfast at one point. I think Gail, the maid, has disappeared by that point. And so, again, this is all what's supposed to be holding us in the middle of this movie, is nameless maids are disappearing in non-graphic, non-erotic, non-scary moments. I guess it gives Ellen and Sakina a chance to play Nancy Drew. They're running around in secret passages and things.
What room do they go into that has a bunch of pigs and cows hanging from? Is that a refrigerator?
Butcher's room that leads, of course, to the garage. Really random.
Right. I don't get that. But it's a lot of meat in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand they're supposed to be from means, but that is a lot of pork that's hanging up there.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
They spent more on pork props than people.
Yeah, that was an attempt to be scary if we show animal carcasses. Again, ponder something, because I think it's profound. This is a horror movie. If you have to set this movie in a section of the video store of your mind, it's in the horror section. Can you imagine telling someone that wanted to be scared to watch this film?
No, I don't know where I'd put it though. It's not scary, but the drama doesn't work. There's a couple of funny performances in here, but it's not a comedy.
Definitely not.
It doesn't succeed in moving my needle at all. Like, I'm not feeling anything except boredom during this. I'm not scared. I'm not amused. It is just so dull. It feels longer to watch this than to watch all of Rose Red last week.
Absolutely right.
Absolutely. That should be stressed. Yeah. Again, we complained so much about the pace last time, but I would have watched all 3 nights again rather than finish the rest of this once we got to this part. I'm like, I can't stand this.
And again, I liked the part in the book where it really explored that John was such a pervert. He put viewing ports in the bathroom so he could watch women shit. I mean, I found that intriguing character development, and that he was such a gooner that he was doing all of this stuff. But here, this is how it's portrayed, and the actress playing Ellen is giving me nothing to feel.
No.
Tsidii Leloka is just constantly wide-eyed and purse-lipped.
They're not falling in love, right? That was the one thing that was very clear in the book that we talk about. Maybe you could pick up towards the end of the miniseries, but if we're going back, this is what you show, right? And is it because ABC is frightened of lesbians? Ellen was on that network, right? Briefly?
Yeah, Ellen was on that in the 90s.
Yeah, I don't get how this is a movie in 2003 that is afraid to do any of this stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. And yeah, the love quadrangle between Ellen and the house, Ellen and Sakina, and Ellen and John dragged me into that book. I really liked the fact that Ellen was torn, that she did have lust and enjoy sex with John sometimes, and became sexually dominant in their relationship, but also hated him for cheating on her constantly and bringing home diseases, and who would blame her. None of that is well dramatized here. What just I can't believe is that Ridley Pearson wrote that book and then he threw out all the interesting parts to write the screenplay.
Yeah. What's interesting to me is, like, Ellen basically wins. Like, here's a husband that's like, I'm going to do whatever I want with whoever I want. And the wife says, I built this house, and any woman that you take here will now disappear on you. You can't sleep with her another night. So eventually, he's going to have to change his ways, right? We need to have the moment where she can gloat, this is the end of your ways. And what should be interesting is the target turns inward. That the woman that gets targeted is not a mistress, but the daughter that she loves more than the house. That would be a really interesting third act twist, that the house now wants to hurt Ellen because it's not the preferred object of her desire.
What I would like is a little bit more between the birth of the two children. Because we have the birth of Adam, but then more housemaids disappear. And that's when we have Madame Lou come and do the seance, and Ellen is declaring her devotion to Rose Red before April is ever born. And this doesn't make sense to me. Once April disappears, the mother's fanatical desire to get her daughter back and give the house whatever it wants so she can commune with her daughter's spirit makes perfect sense to me. But because I've seen the Rose Red and I've read the diary, that John is storming out of the seance and Ellen is saying, I will build you forever, Rose Red, I'm trying to figure out, is she insane from the syphilis too? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, again, it's in the line, right? Build me to the heavens and life never stops. The promise is you'll live forever, which I guess is kind of true. She ends up being a ghost. All the women do get to live on here. Of course, some of the men do too, as Rose Red shows, but whatever. Consistency be damned.
Yeah.
Yes. What's told to her in the seance is that you can live forever. And then when she has a daughter, and, you know, they very clearly, again, there's a gender thing going on where the son is acting mean to the daughter, and they're like, well, he's like his father. And basically, man and son are kind of evil, and daughter and mother are, like, now have this bond. House has to get child out of the picture, and has an elaborate plan involving a gay uncle.
I don't think the house had anything to do with the gay uncle.
Well, it takes him. Well, let's walk through it, because last time, it very clearly, he came back years later wanting the children to witness as he gets up in his cowboy boots into the noose and dies. Here, it plays differently. Here, it's much more rapid that, oh, I found out what you're doing with the clerk. They don't even specify the male clerk, but you're doing something with the clerk in the closet. So I'm disgusted with you. And he's signing a piece of paper to sign over the rights to the oil company and basically be impoverished. And I don't think he wants anyone to know that he's rigging that noose and taking his life. But did anything in the house cause any of that to happen?
No, I don't think it did.
I think it inspired him. First of all, Ellen repeatedly blames the syphilis for John going mad. That is added to this. That was not in Rose Red. That was not in the book version of this. And I kind of preferred that John was just, you know, he became a drunk and he became a gambler and he had money problems. I just liked him becoming evil on his own versus him going mad necessarily. But here, I thought it was kind of hurtful when he's like, and you will never see my son again, you know, implying that all homosexuals are also pedophiles. But it's the house that makes Doug look up and be like, oh, I should kill myself there. I can hang myself from that. It's like later on when the sawdust falls from the ceiling, and that's the house's way of telling Ellen and Sukina, build a tower. Here, something happens that makes him look up and be like, you know, that's a great place for a noose in this room.
And again, I think if this weren't on ABC, you could have had early scenes with him and a male clerk flirting as they went by, and maybe the house made them come together. I mean, again, if this is about a house that seduces, and this is an erotic thriller, we need a whole lot more eroticism and a whole lot more thrills.
Yeah, I just did not pick up that the house inspired him to hang himself. I thought he hung himself for all the reasons we already talked about.
Yeah, blackmail. Yeah.
I just just do not think that way, and maybe that's true, and maybe I missed it because the movie up to this point has shown me nothing. I had to keep helping this movie with its plot, and maybe this is a plot hole that I did not fill for it.
It should have worked that way, right, Brock? It would have been helpful to know that every time someone dies, the house is behind it.
All you need to do is have like a kind of noise that the house is involved, and that's all it would have taken. An audio clip would have helped. Something would have helped this movie to tell the story that we, the three of us, are filling in so many blanks for this movie that really had an opportunity to do all of this themselves.
Right. But the biggest thing that's changed in this was he was trying to do this on the sly, and little April comes walking in on him, and they have a telepathic connection. They shine together. Like, was that ever established?
No, I didn't even get that here. I got that she said the house was talking to her and she thought it was Doug, but that's new information that goes nowhere too. I mean, as soon as Madame Lou is like, you don't think they'll believe you because you're talking to Doug, and little April's like, yeah, you're right, they won't believe me. And then, okay, who cares? Never comes up again.
Yeah, it's shocking how this is, again, we're in new territory. We're finally doing something we didn't see last week. And it's so disinteresting to performers, writers, and director that, again, you might be wishing for the commercial break. Can I find out what's going on in the world of mass market food? Or maybe Pizza Hut is doing a nice tie-in. Because, yeah, this is the opposite of intriguing. And I can't believe that there would be anyone still riveted to their seat, wanting to know what happens next. We all know that this is going to end with a guy going out the stained glass window. I do not care how this movie is going to contrive that to be.
And then, yeah, the house takes April. This whole thing is so short. I couldn't believe we were already... I mean, it just jumps 5 years later. April goes from not even being born to being a toddler, and then is gone a few scenes later.
That's what I mean. Like, she needed to have some scenes with Doug that established that they shined. Or, again, if you really cared about these as characters, and if this were really important as a story, you would set this up and not have it be narrated from a diary. Because we can all read the diary on our own.
The disappearance of April scene should have landed harder. Just like the Uncle Doug telling the kids to get out of the room so he can hang himself. All of that should have landed harder, but the movie is not giving us the opportunities for us to get involved enough for those things to land. But the scene with the little girl in the garden, Zucchina and the mother know she's outside, hear her outside. But somehow, when she starts walking towards the house, they both know, Zucchina and the mom know, that April is about to get abducted.
Yeah. The globe is spinning. So maybe that's a part.
Right, but they're not in the room with the globe, though. Like,
I'm aware. I know. Maybe it's really loud.
So there's not a sound cue. There's something like it dawned on them that the house is coming for April.
They can feel it.
Yes, they can feel it. But it's really so confusing, and of course, the girl disappearing is a nightmare for every parent. However, we're not connected enough to these characters for it to really get you anywhere, except, oh yeah.
Yeah, this child was barely in the movie, so that she's gone is not a notable event.
Let me ask you guys if you got this, because there's the scene where Madame Lou and Zucchina are outdoors, and Madame Lou is like, I didn't want her to hear. Ellen, no, the house. You must get Ellen away from the house. And then the camera pans down, and after listening to the commentary, I noticed the camera does this a lot. It pans down, and you see like a sewer grate. And what the writer said on the commentary is, the sewer grates are the ears of the house. And I'm like, they are? Where the fuck did that come from?
Well, better design or direction would get that, but you do hear whispers.
Yeah, I did get the implication, because it was a very long, slow pan down to the sewer, that's how the house heard, right? That was obvious. But they did not do that throughout the house, though, through the whole rest of the movie.
No, but things that they said they thought in confidence were echoing within that sewer grate as a whisper. Basically, the plan is pack Ellen's bags and don't tell her a thing until you're pushing her out the door, because if she is aware of this as an exit strategy, just her having the knowledge, the house now can read her mind. Again, I wish we had established that. I still feel like there is a good movie here. Isn't that weird?
Yes.
Like, we've had a TV miniseries to explore it, and now a TV movie to explore it, and both have sucked, but this could have worked if you had, I really do think, I blame Stephen King last time, but I think it's all the writing and maybe the directing and maybe the acting. Why spare anyone, really, in this whole production?
And the key grip, everybody.
Yeah, the caterers.
I see what you're saying, though, Stuart, because the book was good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a quick read. It wasn't great, but...
No, I'm not going to sing its praises and say it deserves a Pulitzer, but it was engaging.
Yes, absolutely.
It was certainly the best thing about all of Rose Red, having now experienced it all.
Agreed.
And so that the book could be engaging and creative leads only to disappointment when you see this lackluster, weightless, abbreviated, to the point of characters having no motivation, adaptation. And nothing your mind could ever imagine will be as bad as what they're going to do on screen. When you're reading this book, the characters you cast in your head will act better than the people on screen. The sets you imagine in your head will look better than they have on screen here. The house will be scarier than on screen here.
And again, you could just feel them rushing through it too. There's only like 20 minutes of movie left by this point. And Sakina has been pulled away, and we already know that she was tortured and beaten. And Ellen has to chart herself up, put on some red lipstick. And this movie's erotic vernacular. It means she puts on red lipstick and walks barefoot down the stairs, and that's her big come hither. Again, you could be sexier than that. I'm sorry, even on ABC. You really can.
And in the book, it was so sick that what John demanded is, oh, I'll get Sakina back, but I know you and Sakina are having lesbian sex, so now we're going to have 3 ways whenever I want if we bring her back.
Well, it's there. He's like, remember Africa. That's what I want tonight. But again, they're speaking in code. They can't say the word 3-way.
But I never get the impression that happens here, because immediately he's like, I want Sakina out of the house. If he was having unlimited 3-ways, he would not be kicking this woman out of the house.
They didn't have it, but he requested it. When he says, remember Africa, I want Africa tonight, that is what he was saying. I'm sorry, I don't buy that it's on network television. It's the fact that Disney owns this TV network that they don't go there. But even if it had been on NBC or CBS, if you look at the kinds of shows that were running, NYPD Blue had male nudity a decade prior.
On ABC.
Yeah, I'm just not buying this chaste production. I'm not buying it as we couldn't do better. They could have, and they should have. So she's got to build a tower in order to see her daughter again.
Yeah, the house causes some dust to fall, and the one thing I liked about this better than the book, the only moment, is earlier when John and she are together, and John's like, listen, I need you to bear my children. You need me to build this house. So we're just going to have to be together in that way. We are stalemated in each other's needs.
Codependency. Yeah.
I liked that brief moment, which was honesty that was not spoken in the written book. And so here, she's building this tower, but she also promised, I'll sleep with you more, John, if you get Sakina back from the cops. And then when Sakina's back, he's like, I'm ready. And Ellen's like, well, I'm nursing Sakina's wounds right now, so no. Immediately going back on the deal. And so, yeah, now he's going to lock the tower and lock her out and kick Sakina out. And we're finally getting to the point that, I gotta say, in the book and all movies, Ellen takes a while to get where I would be before. Homicidal rage. I think that, killing your husband and keeping his fortune seems appropriate here.
It's on the table, for sure, in this situation. And because he owns it all now, she'll get all the money for it. So, yes, I understand, I agree. I don't condone, but I understand and agree that this is what this character should probably do.
Yeah, I don't think you need an evil house to corrupt you either. I think the implication is Rose Red puts the idea in Ellen's head with the sawdust and whatever. But the truth of the matter is, there are plenty of noir movies about put upon women who kill their husband because they're awful to them. And what role is the house playing? Again, it's just another abuser. It's blackmailing her by saying, if you ever want to see April again, you gotta stand in front of this stained glass rose and watch some, again, really dated special effects of your daughter's face on it.
Oh, that is awful. And It's funny to me because in the book it said like the rose transformed into the face of April, and I'm like, I wonder how they could ever do that on a TV budget. And what they ended up with, swear to God, looks like the baby face from Teletubbies, you know,
Yes.
the baby face in
Yeah.
the sun.
Oh, I do. Yes. Tubby bye-bye, please. It's horrible. Again, like the idea that this is supposed to be scary. Again, I will just use that word for comedic effect. We are watching a horror movie, and this is what they're doing.
A horror movie made for television.
Nah, look at the thing last week. Look at any of the other Stephen King things. There is violence. There are things that happen. There is reason to be afraid. And here, you tell me.
Yeah, there's stuff they could have done to add atmosphere. There's just none of that here.
Yeah. Well, there's an atmosphere. When Sakina comes for her seductive scene, you tell me she's a Broadway star. I assume she's not a dancer, right?
No, she is.
She's a dancer.
That rump shake to the African drums at the end? Oh, dear.
Actually, the writer was saying on the commentary, you know, we tried to get her dancing and singing more because she's just so good at it. But look at her move here. Isn't it just incredible?
Yes. It is beyond credibility. It is. I don't know what else to say other than it's not a good dance scene.
It's not seductive either.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
No.
the ice on the nipples earlier was a lot hotter than anything going on in this attic.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That was the belly. We never saw nipple, Arnie.
No, but it was implied. It was
Well.
implied it was dripped on the nipples.
Oh my God. Maybe. In this movie, we can't even be sure. But yes, they lure him up to this attic. It takes forever. There's a baby carriage moving around by itself too. But eventually they get it up there. And you're right. They can't even have Ellen be a killer. Like, it's now all these wronged women getting revenge, and Ellen's not one of them?
I did like earlier when they explored the house, they found the secret passageway to the attic, which then gives Ellen the access to go into the attic when Zucchina is up there, luring him up there, that she can sneak in and help kill the man. That is something that they did set up well, and I believe that secret passages were part of the movie last week, right? They went inside the walls and stuff like that. So I did like that they did the oldest screen trick in the book that, you know, they actually called something back and they had a reason to do a scene. Because as we're talking about here, a lot of these scenes don't seem to lead into the next. They kind of use the diary as a crutch to jump around as necessary. But so when they actually have this scene here, the climax of the movie, it did make a little bit more sense. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you helping the movie, but I'm not overjoyed that any callback that's coming on. I'm glad it's the end of the movie.
Yeah. Well, I also had to watch the end of Rose Red again.
Well.
Because when John goes out the window, he has an open shirt and it's bellowing in the wind. By the way, he goes out face first and he lands on his back the opposite direction. That's okay. Whatever. But I had to remember to myself, wait, did he go out without a shirt on last time? And no, different actor. He's wearing a vest of all things. He was not even half undressed for that one.
Well, this is the erotic version, Brock.
Yes, this is the cover of the romance novel version of Rose Red. It's different. Let's just put it that way. It's different.
Yeah, there's lots of that. Again, if you were going to go side by side with Rose Red, I think you'd be all kinds of frustrated. I don't care about that because I don't like Rose Red. It's an open-ended question as we lead into our final thoughts. Did they do anything here better than Rose Red?
It was shorter.
Okay. You got me there.
Yeah, that's true. Look, I don't think so. No, I honestly don't. I think that the idea behind this really is, I want to say money, but
Not much.
they didn't really put much money into this to make more money. I do not understand the thought process behind this movie.
Yeah.
So, Brock, Stewart, do you recommend The Diary of Ellen Rimbauer? Brock.
You know, I consider watching The Diary of Ellen Rimbauer to be like a service to our loyal Now Playing listeners. We watch these things so you don't have to. We're going to describe all of these things for you so you can say, I'll take a pass on this one. I'm not going to go rent it from Amazon or buy the DVD or get someone to autograph it at a convention. No need, folks. This one is not worth your time. Now, I would say that this movie is disappointing. However, I went into this thing with such low expectations. I mean, I guess in the sense that it didn't disappoint because it equaled my low expectations of the movie. It was as hard to watch as I thought it was going to be. After that first 20 minutes, I was already done. I can't believe I was looking at my watch as much as I was. Look, this was not a self-fulfilling prophecy. The movie's bad. I don't know if I've ever told you this, guys. I have a rule that I don't watch movies that revolve around weddings anymore. There's like 2 or 3 that are good, but the majority of movies that have something to do with a wedding, I don't want any part of.
My best friend's wedding is good. Muriel's wedding is good.
Father of the Bride is good.
You're going 30 years ago, Arnie. 30 years, 50 years ago.
That's all great. I watched the original Father of the Bride. I like the remake better. Yes, there are a handful that are worthwhile watching. The majority are not. Haunted house movies are now on that list. They already were going there. I've seen too many haunted house movies, and I have not enjoyed most of them.
Wow.
These 2 movies have now put that nail in the coffin. I do not want to watch any more haunted house movies. Maybe it's because I watched too much Scooby-Doo as a kid. Maybe because I've watched a lot of these kinds of things during the Universal horror movie marathons I do every October. I just don't need any more haunted house stories because they just do not deliver. However, in this situation, anything that was interesting from these flashbacks last week is completely squandered here. Any opportunity, any goodwill that the last movie had for anyone is gone by the first commercial break. They really did a number on this. I can't understand the logic behind any of their decisions, but I can tell you one thing, it's a definite straight down red arrow for the Diary of Ellen Rimbauer.
Stuart.
Yeah, it's time to apologize. I mean, I think sometimes we have to do this. You know, last week, I think we were really hard on Rose Red. And I imagine some of our listeners felt like, yeah, you guys were really mean to that very mediocre miniseries. It really wasn't that bad.
That's a backhanded apology there, Stuart.
It wasn't that bad. It really wasn't that bad. And we can prove that now, right?
Yeah.
What was an overlong, mediocre TV miniseries has now become an even longer, like the house itself has been twisted. The 89 minutes are longer than the 3-night event, lacking quality acting, the production values, the lack of spooky elements. I mean, yes, part of the problem is we already knew what was going to happen, but you can still dramatize. I mean, that's the nature of tragedy, to know the outcome and to still feel the pain of it. No, this does not satisfyingly dramatize anything about the origin of this house. And I think we ought to apologize to Nancy Travis and to Emery, too. I mean, you can pick on their over-emoting, but didn't we need them here? Didn't we need somebody to get bug-eyed and crazy and go too big and be fun? Because at the end of the day, and I'll use another Stephen King example, we hated Maximum Overdrive. It was filled with bad performances and over-the-top camp. But then they remade it as Trucks, and that was worse. Because sluggish indifference, in the end, is worse than somebody trying too hard. And so last week they tried too hard, and this time they didn't give a shit. And you could feel it. And that's why, yes, Scarlet Burning Red Arrow for a prequel nobody ever needs to see.
You know, it's rude to read someone else's diary, but it is downright offensive to make this lazy a movie out of it. The Diary of Ellen Rimbauer feels less like a film and more like a contractual obligation that got stretched to 88 minutes. This cheaply made cash grab has no redeeming qualities save that it's short. I mean, I don't want to hate on it. The acting is okay, but not worthwhile, and the script doesn't give the characters any great lines or believable motivation. And the sets are pretty and period appropriate, but so much less than what we saw last week in Rose Red that, yeah, I guess I do owe an apology, because that had some cool set design.
It did.
And here, even the music score is a blatant ripoff to the theme of The Young and the Restless.
Same composer, though. I will say they brought him back. So I guess it's easy to come back when you just taking someone else's music.
I'm trying to find anything good here, and I'm like, the cinematography?
No.
It would be great for an episode of The Big Bang Theory, but it's exceedingly dull for a horror film.
Everything's so flat here. It's just a visually unappealing movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. The special effects?
Oof.
They might be special, but they're not effective.
Mm-mm.
The teeth that come out of the stained glass window when John is there is almost laugh out loud bad, but not quite.
You're too close to sleep to actually have the emotional response that it deserves.
The real betrayal here is from Ridley Pearson, the author of the book, which I'll say one more time, I liked. But somehow, the guy who wrote a moody, mysterious, sex-soaked horror tale turned it into a neutered, paint-by-numbers prequel that explains nothing new and drains all the menace from the mythos.
Yeah.
And I get ABC wasn't going to air erotic ghost murder with three-ways and lesbian debauchery, but in stripping the story of its edge, it stripped it of its reason to exist. Now, we've watched a lot of shit King, and this is not the worst, but it's in the bottom tier. You know what's nice about this, though, is you'll forget this movie exists while you're still watching it. I'm not going to remember this movie tomorrow. If a listener listens to this review 3 weeks from now and asks a question in the Facebook group, I'm going to be like, the Diary of what? I don't know what you're talking about. I just am not going to remember. It is pure amnesia. It's a not recommend, though.
Yeah.
So you're going to gaslight our listeners. That's what I'm getting out of this.
Yeah. I don't think any listeners are going to be asking questions. Again, this movie doesn't beg curiosity.
No.
It is, yes, like a pressed flower in an old scrapbook, something dead and withered and put on a shelf that no one will take down.
That's beautiful, Stuart.
Yeah, you like that?
I like that. It's beautiful.
It's better written than anything in this movie.
Yeah, it was poetic.
Yeah. I'm going to be writing some more diary. Yeah, the diary
Yes.
of the film critic.
The Diary of Stephen King's fecal movies.
We can't even blame him again. Well, you said he did do some rewriting, but I mean, again, this feels perpetuated by other criminals. This is more like Creepshow 3, you know?
It really is. It does feel like somebody snorted some money somewhere. Because why would anybody think it's a good idea to air this during sweeps?
Right, yes. Wait, you want people to watch? To tune in? Yeah, like, no, not this.
I think, though, they planned on it because of the connection from the previous year. They already had it slotted, and then they saw it.
Yeah, right.
That's, I think, happened, right?
You're probably right. The exec slotted it, never knowing anything that anybody was doing, and just said, keep the cost under control.
Right.
And they did. They spent no money.
And then they realized, oh, crap, we got a terrible movie on our hands. Put it on there anyway. We already paid for it.
I don't know. You dumped that, right? You put it out in the middle of summer. July 5th, I'm thinking. It's the perfect night to air this.
Let's not forget, there are 4 sweeps periods. The big ones are, of course, November, February, May. But, you know, there is technically a August sweeps period you could have put this during.
No one's watching primetime TV. That's the whole point. It's rerun summer, you know? Like, you never air the original stuff. The shows you didn't pick up and the reruns of things people loved. Because theoretically, people are out and about, not in front of their TV.
Well, hopefully they're out and about doing anything other than watching this. Thank God we're done with it. But we're, of course, not done with Stephen King. Coming up, a movie I actually have hope for, The Long Walk. I've heard good things from people who went to test screenings. Admittedly, they said it was too long. Their test screening was over 3 hours, but I have no doubt they've cut it down.
Yeah, no.
Wow, that's a long walk.
Yeah, too long a walk.
And I've heard Mark Hamill is good in it. The guy from the new Karate Kid movie is one of the walkers. I'm thinking this could be good.
It could be good. You know, it wouldn't be hard to be one of the best Stephen King adaptations ever. I don't know the source material yet. I got to go read this. I, of course, know Battle Royale and Hunger Games and all the things that this inspired. But yeah, this is sort of the granddaddy of letting kids die for a cash grab. It could be good.
I did a Books and Nachos on it. So when you're done reading the book, you can hear my thoughts on that book. I remember I definitely had strong opinions about it.
I saw the preview before something I was watching this summer, and I was really intrigued. I thought the movie looked really, really good. So I was really happy to discover that, and I would have watched it anyway, based on that preview, if I wasn't already reviewing it with you guys here on Now Playing.
I'm not as excited for it as I am for Running Man in November, but yeah, I mean, again, The Monkey, one of my favorite movies of the year. It seems like, could we actually have just a really good year of kink films?
God willing, right? We deserve it. We'll be finding that out in 2 weeks. We do have another haunting of sorts to get to. We're cleaning house. Arnie, I know you and Marjorie are super excited to be coming back to the Conjuring universe for the last time, for the last rites. We're putting this all to bed with the 4th movie with Ed and Lorraine.
After this, I love the Conjuring films.
Yeah, you've never been better prepped to appreciate a Conjuring movie than after this. Agreed.
The power of Christ compels me to not watch any more of the Rose Red and to appreciate at least good performances in the Conjuring series, even if I don't like the people it's based on or the stories they're telling. So
yeah, very low bar on this one.
They're doing a movie marathon here to build up to this, where they're showing all the Annabelles, all the Conjurings.
Too much.
They're doing it like one per night, so you don't have to sit through the whole thing. And Marjorie's like, do you want to do this so we can prep for the last one?
Has she forgotten?
I'm like, no, I don't.
I don't think I'll go back to watch them all, but I do think I might watch all the official Conjuring, the first 3 of the official ones, not the whole universe. I don't need to see the Nun.
I'll rewatch the first ones. They get better with repeat viewings, I gotta say. I don't dislike them as much as I did on the original.
We watched the original one again with my daughter because she wants to watch it, 'cause she likes to watch scary movies. The 3 of us sat down to watch it, and I thoroughly enjoyed The Conjuring that viewing. Like, it can work, but I have to be in the right mindset for that one. I've seen it a few times, and this viewing was a much better one. So yes, it could be something worthwhile seeing. I'm looking forward to hearing your review about it.
So, we have Conjuring next week, and this Friday, we return to Tromaville for the Toxic Avenger 3, The Last Temptation of Toxie.
Great title.
Yeah. Did Martin Scorsese make it?
Yeah.
I've never seen The Last Temptation of Christ, and I'm wondering if, like, Leprechaun in the Hood was actually very much based on the Boys in the Hood plot, if I need to see The Last Temptation of Christ to fully grasp and internalize and understand The Last Temptation of Toxie.
Those nuances we've been appreciating week after week. Yeah, we're doing the Toxic Avenger series for Platinum. It's kind of fun, even though it's kind of terrible. It's definitely toxic. Hope you can join us. We still got a few more to go. There's another Toxic Avenger from the old. And then this new thing that's already out. We'll be covering it towards the middle of September.
So you can donate $35 or more directly to us via PayPal at nowplayingpodcast.com/donate. Get 5 Toxic Avenger reviews, 5 I Know What You Did Last Summer reviews, and then coming up, 8 Wizard of Oz Wicked reviews. And every penny you donate helps keep this show going, and honestly helps keep our eyes open during things like the Diary of Ellen Rimbauer. I'm not gonna lie, I might have used $7 donation on a Starbucks to stay caffeinated during this.
Yeah.
So you're embezzling. Okay, that's good. Another thing that yeah, that's wonderful.
It's not embezzling when it's a business expense.
Good point. The tax write-off is what it is.
It could be worse. I could be spending it on tequila. Just come and slosh to this review because it would have made the movie better. So thank you for listening. Brock Stewart, thank you for staying in this house with me.
Anytime, buddy.
And until next time, that's Rose Red, sweetheart.
I thank you all for your attention, and to remind you of what someone or other famous once said, the truth is out there.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Now Playing, and we hope you've enjoyed the show.
Look at you. You wanted it all along.
Come back to NowPlayingPodcast.com to hear our reviews of other Stephen King movies, such as Carrie, The Shining, Children of the Corn, Cujo, and dozens more in our archive section.
Is that supposed to scare me?
Also on our site, hear reviews of other films such as Maniac, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Saw, Riddick, Friday the 13th, the Avengers films, Star Trek, and more.
Do you hear me? You do, don't you?
Find hundreds of movie review podcasts at nowplayingpodcast.com and come back each week for another new movie review.
The story's not over. It's just the beginning.
Now Playing is an independent podcast, 100% crowdfunded, thanks to listeners like you.
Come back. Come back and help me build.
You can donate directly by tapping the support button at nowplayingpodcast.com.
Help me. Help us. Help us build.
And you can join our crowdfunding campaign for early access to new episodes, exclusive reviews, and bonus reviews available for a one-time contribution.
Build me to the heavens, and life never stops. Build me to the heavens, and life never stops. Join me. Build
to the heavens, and life never
stops.
Build me to the heavens, and life never
stops.
Build me to the heavens, and life never stops.
You can also help out Now Playing by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes. A link to Now Playing's iTunes listing can be found at nowplayingpodcast.com.
On with the show?
On with the show.
Now Playing Podcast is produced by Arnie Carvalho.
And if I get a little crazy on the subject from time to time, please forgive me. I put in a lot of long days.
Associate produced by Jason Latham.
Could you please try to remember who's running this expedition?
Now Playing is edited by Heath and Arnie.
It's quick, isn't it? What they do. And it doesn't hurt them.
The film discussed in this podcast is the property of its respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended.
I hear you in your room at night. Mommy hears everything.
The opinions expressed on Now Playing are those of the individual hosts and may not reflect the opinion of Venganza Media Incorporated.
Tell the truth and shame the devil.
Now Playing is a Venganza Media production, copyright 2025, all rights reserved, and no part of this show may be reproduced, repurposed, or redistributed without the written permission of Venganza Media Incorporated.
How beautiful you are, Rose Red.
God willing, right? We deserve it after Rose Red and Diary of Ellen Rimbauer.
Ellen Rimbauer.
See, I don't. What's this bitch's name?
Yeah, see, who cares?
Rosie Red in the house that wouldn't shut up. Oh, I used to play it on piano. I know this theme. Yes, Nadia's theme is actually. If you want to know the title of it, I'm well aware. I had the sheet music.
Yeah, it's actually Nadia's theme. They stole it. They blatantly stole it. I checked the credits. I see no credit to Barry Dvorak and Perry Botkin Jr., who created Nadia's theme for the 1971 movie Bless the Beasts and the Children.
Which I've seen. I've seen that.
Okay.
I have. I saw it in school.
Yeah, that's a famous movie. I know that one.
It's a famous movie. I read the book, too.
Yeah.
But you guys talking about soap opera themes, like, I thought I had some eccentric knowledge. Bravo to both of you. That's impressive. You guys can know your soap opera themes.
Here's what's funny is I wanted to see if it was just me. I snipped a clip, not from The Young and the Restless YouTube, but from this movie. I pulled it into my audio editor, put it at an MP3, sent it to Marjorie, play it for Marjorie. She's like, I know this music. It's in Mr. Mom. What is this music? Well, in Mr. Mom, Michael Keaton gets really absorbed in The Young and the Restless. So
there you go.
That was
9 years of piano. I played all the TV themes. I could do Cheers.
Oh,
I could do them all. I had a whole book of TV themes.
You know, I would rather watch you play them poorly from memory now than watch this TV movie.
Yeah.
I played Cheers too, Stuart. I played the Cheers theme too in my piano lessons. Yes, it's the time.
Yeah, that's the first one you want to learn, right? Yeah.
Mine was Saint Elsewhere. I never even liked the show, but it's such a good piano theme.
Oh, that theme is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great theme. Yeah, it's a good theme song.
I know that one. Yeah.
Anyway,
let's talk about things that aren't great, like the rest of this movie. So what we've established is
I just hope Patrick Wilson sings a 90s rock staple the way he did in that last Insidious film.
Yeah, it's not the same thing.
I know.
You have to keep telling yourself, didn't we see another one of these last year? Nope, different series.
You guys know, the first time I saw Patrick Wilson perform was on Broadway. He was in the Full Monty musical.
I'm sure.
He comes from that world, yes, so...
Yeah, no, we know, we're well aware he's a singer first.
Yeah, a Broadway singer first, for sure.
And a himbo second. I still remember that 6-pack or 8-pack from Aquaman 2.
And A-Team. He was a hottie in the A-Team. I can't believe I just said that. But yes, you know what I'm saying.
I don't know, I just couldn't get past how great Bradley Cooper looked in that one.
Fair.